Lift up your heart. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. On the Sabbath, Jesus went to the synagogue and began to teach, and a man was there whose right hand was withered. The scribes and Pharisees were watching him to see if he could cure a man on the Sabbath, hoping to find something to use against him. But he knew their thoughts, and he said to the man with the withered hand, "Stand up, come out into the middle." And he came out and stood there. Then Jesus said to him, "I put it to you, is it against the law on the Sabbath to do good or to do evil, to save life or to destroy it?" Then he looked around at them and said to them, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was better. But they were furious and began to discuss the best way of dealing with Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord. Sabbath keeping is a very important principle for the Jews. Still is today. The Sabbath was not to be taken lightly. And very often we kind of brush over the fact that Jesus, as a faithful Jew, was also a keeper of the Sabbath. Because the Sabbath was there given, the purpose of the Sabbath was so that human beings might have life. That's the purpose of the Sabbath, to guard the life of the human person. And so the heart of the Sabbath is really that act of life-giving. Why? Because the Sabbath is that time of rest. And within the commandments of the Lord, the Jews were commanded to keep the Ten Commandments, but also the fourth commandment, which is that one should keep holy the Sabbath day. And the reason for that is because that day was a day of liberation and freedom. The Sabbath was a day of liberation and freedom, a day of release. Alright, if you go back to Exodus chapter 20, you see that the reason that is given for Sabbath keeping is so that we might remember that we were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord delivered us with mighty hand and outstretched hand. So it was the Sabbath symbolized for the Jewish people the day of liberation, the day of freedom, and the day of release. Remember, this is Luke's gospel reading now. Right? Remember, this is Luke's gospel reading now. And in Luke chapter 4, Jesus says that his mission is to what? Is to bring liberation and freedom. That's his mission. To bring liberation and freedom. To proclaim the Lord's year of favor. And so, on this day, Jesus is focused on the real essence of the Sabbath. He's focused on the centrality of the Sabbath. It is not just not to do. The not to do is important because it safeguards us from becoming slaves again. It safeguards us from becoming slaves again to work and to labor. That we find ourselves constantly and completely working all the time and having no time for rest for our bodies and no time to worship our God, our Spirit. It is this holistic sense in which the Sabbath is to be understood and which it should be kept. However, the Jews very often made the Sabbath into a burden. And so, in this case, where Jesus is in the synagogue on the Sabbath, and here Jesus sees a man who is sick, whose hand is withered. But the Sabbath said you cannot, the Jew said you cannot heal on the Sabbath, unless it is a situation that is acute, one that is an emergency. But if it is not an emergency, then come back another day. Come back another day and pay healing, not today. Because today, the Lord himself is resting. Jesus reinterprets for them the understanding of Sabbath. so that they would understand the Sabbath as a day of liberation and freedom. The Sabbath is a day in which God, in fact, liberated them from the bondage of sin and slavery by taking them through the Red Sea with mighty arm and outstretched hand. And so Jesus now comes to bring liberation and freedom to this person whose right hand is withered. And Luke is very careful in detail because the right hand is the hand this man will use to work. This is the right hand is the hand of blessing. It's also the hand that he would use to do everything, unless for the left knee. And so Luke is saying this man is in deep bondage. And so Jesus brings the man out and he asks him a simple question. Is it good to give life or to save life on the Sabbath? Jesus is going back to the original intention of the Sabbath. The Sabbath is that which is life-giving. It is not a bondage or burden that very often you put a whole bunch of laws, how far you can walk, how much things you can lift up, what you can do, what you can't do. All of these can become burdensome. But Jesus is saying it is not about the burden. It is to see the original sense in which God created the Sabbath rest, so that we might have life. The heart of the Sabbath is to give life, to give us life, that we will not become bowed down by everything in this world, but we will be able to stop and recognize there is one who is in charge. To stop and not do anything is to recognize there is one who continues to do when we are stopped. There's one who has everything in his hands. There's one who is in charge, and so we can give ourselves permission to stop. We can give ourselves permission to take it easy. We can give ourselves permission to rest, because the one to whom we trust He is going to take care of all the things that we are concerned about. And that is the life-giving. And so Jesus says, man, stretch out your hands. And for everybody who was watching, He allowed everybody to see what He was doing. Because He was restoring this man to the fullness of health and the fullness of strength. He was restoring this man to the fullness of life. And therefore, that is in keeping with the heart of what the Sabbath is about. He was breaking this man, taking this man from bondage, from the bondage of the sickness, and giving him freedom. He was pronouncing on this man a year of liberation and freedom and favor of God. See, very often, not everybody is able to celebrate God's favor and God's blessings upon us. And the Jews were hurt. And the text says that they were furious. And they began to think of a way of dealing with Jesus. Not everybody celebrates God's favor. Not everybody celebrates God's blessings upon us. Not everybody is happy. And we may find different reasons. But here they fail to see how God has favored this man on this day, in this place, at this time. They fail to see the power of God at work. They fail to see the blessings that this man has received. They fail to see the goodness of God. And rather than respond in praise and thanksgiving, they respond with hatred and anger. Wanting to kill Jesus, or thinking of how they can deal with Jesus according to Luke's Gospel. And so it's important for us to recognize that not everybody celebrates God's mercy, God's favor on us. And in fact, that may be a source of great consternation to others. In the first reading today, Paul encourages the Corinthian community to be life-giving. Paul points out what even in our time would seem to be something that is so great, that within the Corinthian community, remember, we're reading the first letter of Paul to the Corinthians, and we know that this community is a proud community, that they think they are very spiritual. They will be very gifted. And Paul is pointing out to them today, he says, what I'm hearing about is not only an opinion, but it's a fact. Paul says, it's not gossip. I have evidence that this is actually so. That one of you is living with his father's wife. So Paul is saying to the Corinthian community, one of you is living with his stepmother. And Paul is doing something here that we spoke about yesterday. Paul is calling out this person. He's calling out this person and saying, such behavior is not even heard of in the pagan world. It's unparalleled. You don't hear about that kind of behavior in the pagan world among sinners and amongst people who are far from God. But here in this community, you're hearing this atrocity. You're hearing this kind of behavior that is not in keeping with gospel values. And Paul calls this person to order. In fact, Paul says again, reading from Matthew's gospel yesterday, that such people must be put out. There you see the way in which the spirit of the gospel must be heard. Such people must be put out of the community so that their souls might be saved. In so doing, the intention of Paul putting them so that they realize the seriousness of their sin. They realize the seriousness of their sin, and they don't infect the rest of the community and cause the rest of the community to disintegrate. And as I Paul said, a little yeast can spoil the whole batch. And so therefore, when they come to a place of repentance, when they come to a place of recognizing the grave sin that they hide, then the mercy of God will be extended to them as it is, so that they may come to the mercy of God, repentance and conversion of heart, and therefore take their rightful place in the community. But Paul is here saying that such things we must never put up with, because it's not life-giving. It's not giving life, neither to the persons involved nor to the community. And so in order that it might not kill the community by such actions, Paul is insisting that such persons be put out of the community. And again, the term that is used in ecclesiastical language is excommunicate. Alright? And Paul really chastises them. There's no, I am far away, I am within the Spirit, and I've already condemned the man who did this thing, as if I were actually present. So Paul condemns the person. He makes a judgment. Well, you're judging me. Very often I say, you're judging me. The Bible says don't judge. It doesn't. This is what Paul is doing. Not only judging, Paul is not only judging a behavior that he sees as way, way, way greater than anything in the pagan world. Paul is also calling on the person who is doing that. And Paul is also handing him over to Satan. Paul is way more brutal than I will ever be. And I was spiritually present with then the power of the Lord Jesus. He is to be handed over to Satan, so that the sensual body may be destroyed and the spirit saved on the day of the Lord. That is the heart of it. I want you to understand, sometimes we need to do some very serious things, what we call tough love. Sometimes we need to do some serious things so that people might be saved. Paul says that this person will be handed over to Satan. This is Paul said, so that his spiritual body will be destroyed, but his soul might be saved. And that's the part of life living. And so today, my dear brothers, we celebrate the love of God and the life that God gives. We celebrate the fact that the God we serve is a God who is pro-life. Not only in the womb, but pro-life throughout our lives. In everything that we do that fosters life, that gives life. Everything that we do that enables life. The God we serve is a God who loves life. And we, in turn, must be life givers. Men and women who encourage life giving, who do things to encourage others to experience life. The Sabbath is not just not doing, but the greater challenge is what can I do so that the other might live.